Every once in a while, I love handing over my podcast to a guest host and letting them do whatever it is they want to do with Simon Scriber's amazingly ultimate fundraising superstar podcast. Did I miss a word? Possibly. And today we have a guest host. Today's guest host is Matt Collins, and he's got a few things to say on whether or not you should be paying for digital marketing. Matt is an amazing guy. He runs the agency Platypus, and they offer digital marketing for lots of different organizations. I follow him on Twitter. I follow his blog. I love his stuff. He puts out a lot of great think pieces on the future of digital and what's happening in our sector. He's really, really practical and really down to earth in the stuff he delivers. He's very realistic. He doesn't promise impossible things, but he shows you the hard work, the graft that you need to do, and he takes you through step by step on how to be a good digital marketer or a good digital fundraiser. I love the resources Platypus puts out. So I'm going to hand over the microphone to him and listen along with you. Here's Matt.
You're listening to Simon Scriber's amazingly ultimate fundraising superstar podcast, talking all things fundraising, charities, nonprofits, and more.
There's a great scene in season 3 of The Wire. In a meeting with the staff, the young, ambitious and newly elected Mayor Carcetti is in good spirits. He campaigned for mayor of Baltimore on a platform of being tough on crime. Now that he's assumed office, he's committed to ending meaningless, numbers-driven policing in the city in favour of a far more meaningful kind of police work. And he's committed to this even if it doesn't play that well in the press. It's a totally new approach for a mayor. He's promised the police force a 5% pay rise. He's serious about big change. The conversation in the room then turns to education. Carcetti says with a smile, well, how bad could that be? His budget advisor then tells him the schools are running a $54 million deficit. The smile vanishes from Carcetti's face. His idealistic dreams about policing have disappeared in a puff of smoke. Addressing that deficit means diverting money away from policing, not towards it. He despondently pleads to the room, how the fuck do we deal with that? And the truth is that nothing happens without money. Carcetti's encountered a problem that almost everyone in a position of power soon comes to realise. Nothing happens without money. Carcetti was serious about changing how police work happened in Baltimore. He had a vision, and it was of real crime being dealt with effectively. He believed that the police force knew how to do that best, and he didn't care if his new, boring way of doing things didn't play out as well as in the press as his predecessors might have done. But that was before he saw the books. Now, I've heard lots of stories from heads of digital over the years and other senior people trying to get digital marketing off the ground in their organisations, and in a way they aren't so different from that story. Each of them has really solid experience and a really good understanding of what good digital marketing should look like. They've moved beyond that really narrow focus on social media, understanding wider digital marketing disciplines like search marketing, and they're desperate to move on to the next level by applying audience insights, conversion rate optimization, things like that, into the way their charities work to help them work better, to help them achieve more. But they can't. And that's simply because the money isn't available for them. Now, over the years, there's an insidious view that's sort of developed that digital marketing for charities is free. You don't need any money at all. And that hasn't been helped by viral campaigns like the Ice Bucket Challenge coming to play. What that says created is the belief that you're just going to plant an idea that social media is just going to do its thing, and your supporters will just grab it, they'll run with it, and they'll create a magical digital marketing campaign all of their own accord, all for you. And all you have to do is just sit back and watch the cash roll in. And that perception is compounded by the fact that most well-known digital marketing channels are free, on the surface of it anyway. Things like Facebook pages are free to set up and maintain. The Google Ad Grant gives you $10,000 of free advertising spend every month. And even email marketing, if you've got a small enough list, is absolutely free. So all of that just paints a big picture of digital being a great big old freebie. But digital marketing is not free. You need money to do it to any kind of standard. And at the very least, you need to spend that money on these sorts of things. First of all, staff. Paying people to operate and generate content for all those free platforms cost charities tens of thousands of pounds every single year. You also need to invest in training. That's investing in the long-term skills of people who actually operate those platforms and are responsible for your charity's reputation on them. Also, the technology itself. The very best charities, they're just not satisfied with those free offerings. They want more. So they pay for the customer relationship management, the integrations, and the paid advertising platforms that deliver even more for their causes. So why isn't the money actually there? Why isn't the money just sloshing around to pay for all of those things? Well, there's a number of factors here. There's lack of external funding. There just isn't a lot of funding knocking around for digital work in charities. Most grants and trusts will fund programs, projects, or things, but digital itself tends to be overlooked. The funding that is there tends to be very tech-focused. It's aimed at building shiny new platforms and fueling innovation. But the funding for day-to-day digital work, the stuff that keeps your current systems up and running and improving results over the years and building in the long term, not so much. They're a bit like the crime stats that play really well in the press, but they aren't the long-term fixes that are needed for long-term change. Another factor is a failed case internally. So marketing budgets obviously do exist in charities, no doubt about that. It just doesn't get allocated to building and expanding digital teams. And one problem is that the case simply hasn't been made for digital yet. It's difficult to see an immediate return on investment for a lot of these things, and it's hard to argue for its strategic alignment against your organisation's goals. Other areas of the charity are just at the front of the queue because they've made a better case for what that investment will actually do for the charity. And the thing is, digital just tends to be seen as a project. But in fact, it's a building block of your charity. And in the current charity space, the organisations that are rearing ahead of the pack are the ones that recognise that it forms a foundation for how they work. And there's not a lot more that can happen without it. So if the budget folders think that digital is free, that definitely will not help build a compelling case for investment. How are charities investing in digital marketing? Well, here's some real examples of how charities are investing their hard-earned cash, money that fundraisers have got up at 5 a.m. to go for runs in the dark as they're training for the London Marathon have actually paid for. Charity spends £120,000 on its website. With implementation of a better, more streamlined website, conversion rate optimization and tracking, they expect this to lead to increased cash and regular donor acquisition and hugely increased brand awareness. That's what they've invested in. Another charity invests £60,000 in reaching its target audience on Google. They know that people are searching for things related to their charity. By working out who they need to reach, they are invested in turning them into long-term supporters. There's another charity that's invested around £16,000 in a cycle of digital marketing training. They see real value in their wider fundraising teams having digital skills, and so they build projects and create strategies that are better integrated across multiple platforms. Upskilling their team properly via training, it needs analysis, it needs planning, delivery, evaluation, and feeding the results of that evaluation into the planning again. That costs money, but it also brings huge returns. Now, what happens if we don't talk about money? Because let's face it, money is not a comfortable thing to discuss. Talking about what we get paid, our long-term financial futures, and even how much money we've raised for charities just feels a little bit icky sometimes. But remember, when you're talking about something, you're promoting it. If you get the word out there, it plants the seeds in people's minds. And when we don't talk about money, we get less investment. What that means is that people who need your charity's help, who can be reached and helped through digital marketing, are left to struggle on alone. Money that can solve the wider problem that your charity exists to solve isn't raised, and the day the problem is solved moves further away from us. Talented digital people leave because what talented people would stay at a charity that isn't investing in its future? Where would they see their place in such a charity? They're going to take their talents elsewhere. They don't want to just keep their talents at the current level. They want to expand them. So they're going to take their talents elsewhere. So what do we need to do? I think we need to get comfortable talking about money. Problems like breast cancer, mental health and poverty, they are not going to be solved without money. Being polite and reserved around money in charities doesn't actually serve anyone. it hampers progress towards solving those problems. We need to create sustainable funding sources for digital marketing. Trusts and foundations, they need convincing that digital marketing costs money as much as anything else. And only when they believe this will this create more funding to do the best digital marketing work. I also think, crucially, we need to train more junior staff in making a business case. More often than not, it's the frontline staff at levels like officer level, executive level, and maybe first-time line managers who actually understand digital marketing best. And all too often, they're the ones who understand budget cycles and business cases the least, or they're the ones that have the least decision-making power. So what do we need to do? We need to equip everyone with the skills in presenting the business case for investment. Now, obviously, budget cycles are going to vary from place to place. So if you're one of those managers or officers, you need to speak to your boss or a manager in another team just to get your head around the process at your charity. Most charities say it's a messy process. It's not one that they would recommend implementing where you are, but you're going to have some sort of process. So you need to find out what it is, work out how to make a business case to fit into that process, and make your case. And finally, really, it's just about accepting that digital marketing does cost money. I've shared a couple of examples here of how charities have invested real money in their digital marketing and what's been achieved with that money. Now, there are far more everyday examples of digital marketing in charities than the Ice Bucket Challenge. So it's time to move on. It's time to accept that digital marketing costs money.
Listening to Simon Scriver's Amazingly Ultimate Fundraising Superstar podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and head over to changefundraising.com to learn more or get in touch with Simon. Or don't, whatever, you're big enough to make your own decisions.
Hey, this is Simon Scriver.
And this is Nikki Bell.
We are running a virtual fundraising conference on November 19th. It's called Fundraising Everywhere, and you can find it at fundraisingeverywhere.com.
There's some amazing speakers that we've got lined up for you. We've got some names on there that you will be familiar with and some speakers that you may not have heard before, but all of them will be sharing amazing fundraising methods that are proven to work, and they will be teaching us how to do that in our own charities.
We've tried to make it really affordable for all organizations, but for small charities, it is completely free. So go look at it at fundraisingeverywhere.com. Register now. Join us. It will be accessible. It will be affordable, and it is amazing.
Yes.